The Toronto Raptors are entering into a new era, but that doesn't mean that their star players can't show out. So in this video, we're going to be predicting the stat lines of the 3 core players of the team to see if they can still impress in the first year of the rebuild. Let's get into it. Welcome back to Amateur Sports, the YouTube channel completely dedicated to Toronto Raptors content and videos just like this, as well as live streams on the channel. And fans are wondering right now about this team. Even though we know it's the first year of the rebuild for the Raptors still have 3 extraordinarily talented players at the top of the roster. And fans are wondering if the Raptors could actually have 3 players averaging 20 points per game this season. And it's a question that I'm also wondering myself. So I wanted to make stat line predictions in this video for Immanuel Quickley, RJ Barrett, and Scottie Barnes in that order. So make sure you're sticking around to the end of the video to hear what I have to say about Scottie Barnes' stat line. But we had a solid sample of games last season where all 3 of these players were available. And then we had a lot of fun games involved in that. But just how good were these players in that stretch? So the Raptors played 22 games with Barnes, Quickley, and Barrett all healthy. The averages are as such. Barnes was averaging 17.9 points per game, 7.4 rebounds, and 6.5 assists. A little bit down compared to what we were seeing from the season as a whole for Barnes, but he did kind of taper off a little bit after the All-Star break, in all honesty. That could ramp back up this season, but Barnes started this season stronger than he finished. Whether that was fatigue, whether that was health, whether that was anything else, who knows? But that was the case there. As for RJ Barrett, impressive as always, averaging over 20 points per game, 6.3 rebounds, and 3.9 assists, mostly in line with what he was doing as a whole for the Raptors after coming from the trade in the New York Knicks. And speaking of that trade, Immanuel Quickley averaged 17 points per game, 4.5 rebounds, and nearly 6 assists when all 3 of these players were healthy. So can we see those numbers increase when we have a full runway for the season, full time to prepare to have all 3 of these players together, and perhaps maybe a bit more spacing around them in the starting 5? Well, let's try to make those predictions here. Starting with Immanuel Quickley, the starting point guard for the Toronto Raptors. Ultimately, Immanuel Quickley, as a playmaker, took a lot of strides last season, playing a completely different role after the trade from the New York Knicks. Ended up averaging 18.6 points per game with the Raptors, nearly 5 rebounds, and nearly 7 assists as well. As far as his field goal percentages are concerned, it was about 42%, but 45% on twos, and a nice 3-point percentage, taking 7 per game at just under 40%. For the upcoming season, what should we expect as far as changes, potential improvements for Quickley? Well, for starters, as much as, I really like seeing 7 3-point attempts per game for Quickley, let's bump those up. Like, I'm looking at some of the other great point guards at this size in the league. Like, you can look at Tyrese Maxey. Maybe I shouldn't say this to Raptors fans, but you can look at Fred VanVleet. They're pushing 10 3-point attempts per game. And I think the pull-up threat that a point guard offers is vital to a team. So I just want to see that number increase. Like, let's get to at least 8 3-point attempts per game for Quickley. Maybe even 9, maybe even creeping up to 10. And let's add on to those pull-up 3-point attempts as well. With those additional 3-point attempts, I think we could see Immanuel Quickley's field goal percentage drop a little bit, but that could make him still a better player and better towards his effective field goal percentage, which is the stat that you should really be worried about as far as efficiency is concerned. And I think that this could get Quickley's points up and just overall make him a bigger threat. I'm going to predict 19.1 points per game, not quite getting to 20 points per game for Immanuel Quickley. I'm going to stay relatively in line as far as rebounds are concerned, but I don't think he'll have to occupy as much time in the paint or just as much of a role with a team that's not tanking like it was last season, especially the start of the season this year for the Raptors. But with that improvement towards playmaking and just being more assured in his role as a point guard, why can't those assist numbers climb up to 7.5 per game? Like I said, the efficiency might drop a little bit, but that doesn't mean he's less effective. The effective field goal percentage would be more of a highlight towards his game because, in my opinion here, he's going to be taking more 3-point shots. Therefore, less efficient towards field goal percentage, but more efficient towards effective field goal percentage and winning basketball games. Immanuel Quickley, I think, is going to have a great season, take strides as a 3-point shooter, and take strides as a playmaker. And I think these stats line up with that. So let's move on to RJ Barrett. And we've talked about him a lot over the summer. And we've come to the conclusion here that RJ Barrett's last season, the way he played for the Raptors, it's for real. Like, averaged nearly 22 points per game with the Raptors, 6.4 rebounds, 4.1 assists, incredible efficiency, above 60% on twos, almost 40% on threes, effective percentage above 60. Like, RJ Barrett was fantastic after arriving to the Raptors from the New York Knicks, and he continued to be fantastic in the Olympics for Canada, looking like the exact same player, and continued to look fantastic in his very short-lived preseason opener, where unfortunately he left injured and will be missing the rest of preseason as a result. But that is not deterring my confidence. The Raptors are using this guy effectively, utilizing his cuts as he kind of rounds from right to left, going towards the rim so he can get there with his left hand, or even does so with the ball in his hands. His three-point percentage has jumped because he's taken better shots there. His decision-making as a player overall is making him a much more confident guy on the court as well. And I think really the only way is up from a points per game standpoint, as hopefully his usage and the spacing around him increases. Now, it'll be kind of similar vein for Immanuel Quickley, where I think RJ Barrett, look, well, starters, these stats are so ridiculous efficiency-wise that I just don't think he can quite do that for an entire season. But I think he can get relatively close. And with the additional usage, I think RJ Barrett can seriously creep up into 23 points per game territory. I don't really see why the rebounds should change that much. I'll give him 6.6 rebounds. Assists with better players around him, maybe they increase a little bit. We go up to 4.3 assists per game. And then from a field goal standpoint, look, they can drop a little bit and still be incredible, which is what I have here for Barrett. 52% from the field, 36% from three. RJ Barrett certainly capable of producing that for the Raptors this season, which leaves us to the final guy, Scottie Barnes, the main man, the centerpiece for this team. Averaged 19.9 points per game with the Raptors last season. Like I said, tapered off a little bit as the season went on, but still managed 8 rebounds per game, 6 assists per game, 47.5% shooting from the field, 34% shooting from three. He started the season around 36, 37 there. So again, that's another stat that kind of dropped a little bit. But for Barnes, what I think is going to be more of a focus is the interior scoring and the efficiency on the interior. So I think we're going to get still a good amount of threes, but I think that Barnes' efficiency is going to improve compared to Barrett and Quickley. I'm expecting Barnes to be a lot smarter with what he takes on the inside, which will bump his scoring up, in my opinion, to right around 21 points per game at 20.8. And I think his field goal percentage will jump back up to 49%, maybe even eventually pushing 50%, but I'll go conservative bit and go 49.1%. The three-point percentage, I'm not sure if what we saw at the start of last season was a bit of a blip, but if Barnes can still be in the 33% to 34% range, that is still absolutely dialed in for his standards, which can continue to improve going forward. As it pertains to assists, with maybe some more in-tune players around him, a smarter system compared to last year, hopefully I'll bump that up to 6.7 assists per game. But because defensively, he won't be occupying the kind of rim positions as the help defense 4, I think we'll see less of him as the 5. I think the rebounding will drop, and it did drop last season. It was like 9 to start the season, but once Darko started using him as a perimeter defender more often, which I don't agree is the best role for him, we saw the rebounds drop. I think they will drop a little bit more here to 7.7 rebounds per game. But this is still definitely an all-star caliber season for Barnes. And hey, if Barrett produces what he potentially could produce with this stat line, that could be an all-star caliber season as well. The Raptors definitely won't get 2 with their record the way it's supposed to look, but could they get 1? We shall see. So what do you make of these stat line predictions? Do you think I'm off? Do you think I'm too high? Do you think I'm too low? Did I get it just right? Give me your thoughts and opinions in the comments down below, because that's all for me for today. Drop a like if you enjoyed this video. Subscribe to Amateur Sports for more Raptors content. I'll see you again next time for another video, or tomorrow as the Raptors take on the Wizards in their second preseason game. Watch-alongs are back. Do not miss out. Get your notifications on and join the Amateur Hour Army today.